Good evening, everyone. Karibuni sana to yet another episode of Know the Therapist. I'm Jennifer, and I'm a counseling psychologist, and I am waiting for my guest, who is Serah, and she will be here in just a second. She is trying to connect. Yeah, that's what we'll be doing. So, thank you so much for joining. We'll be hearing more about Serah, her work, her life as a counseling psychologist, what she does, why she does it, how she does it. That is all we'll be trying to understand from Serah's point of view. So I hope you are having a wonderful evening and that your week has been fantastic. Today is Friday, so I hope you have had a great week. And if you have not, fret not, tomorrow is a weekend and you are going to get some time to rest. And sometimes you have difficult days, you have you have difficult days, you have easy days, they come and go, and it is life. So but take heart that things can always get better, and next week is another week. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. Serah is here. Hi, Serah.
Hi.
Can you hear and see me clearly?
Yes, quite clearly.
Oh, fantastic. How are you? How has your day been? How are you doing? How has your week been?
My week was good, busy, very busy. My day today was, I want to say long. It was a long day.
Yeah.
But I managed to get home a bit early so that I could rest and prepare for this call today.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel good and excited to be here.
You look excited and well rested, so I mean, it works. Whatever you did, do more of that. It works. You look rested. You look very happy and energetic. Good vibes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana to Know the Therapist. And as I was saying to everybody, karibuni sana for coming. Thank you so much for coming through. Invite a friend. Share this on your WhatsApp story so that we can have more people joining. But we'll get started right away so that you can take as little time as possible and also get to cover as much as possible. So, Serah, maybe we can start with you telling us a little bit about yourself, introducing yourself to the gang. Tell us your name, your full name, what you do as a counseling psychologist, and how long you've been doing it, things like that. We'd be glad to hear it. Yeah.
So I'm Serah. My second name is Muindi. I'm a practicing therapist. I've been practicing for the last 9 years, and it's been an interesting journey. I'm also the founder of Hopewell Counseling. It's a mental health organization that's currently based in Eldoret. And yeah, I'm accredited to practice by Kenya Counseling and Psychologist Association. So that's a bit about me.
Oh, that's fantastic. 9 years. That's wow. That's a long time. Tell us how you ended up where you are. Like, that's a long time in this profession, and it's quite impressive. How did you even become a therapist? Maybe we can go like way back. How did you end up becoming a therapist?
So my decision to become a therapist was made, I made the decision when I was in high school, surprisingly. Yes, I am one of those people who knew what they want to do with their lives when they were young and everything. It happened that there's a time I was in school. I remained in school during a midterm break because my folks didn't have money for transport to go like on Friday and come back. It was Friday, then you stay Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you're back. So I stayed back in school with a couple of students. Well, like 5. Our school had about 1,000 students. So the 5 of us were chatting and engaging with each other on why are you here? How come you didn't go home? And I remember the 5 people who were there, so the 4 of them really opened up and shared with me the reasons they were there. We brainstormed, we problem solved over the long weekend because there wasn't much to do. And so the following week, now when the rest of the school resumed, I went to our CU patron. She was a friend of mine and a mentor. So I asked her, which job do people do where they listen to people and they get paid? And she told me a counseling psychologist. So I was like, yeah, that's the job I want to do. It's the only course I applied for in all the universities. I was like, this is what I'm doing with my life. So that's how I got on the journey of being a therapist. It's been a beautiful and fulfilling one actually since. And that's what put me on the path.
That is quite interesting, and also yeah, that is quite interesting that you managed to know back then, like when you're in high school. And as you said, you're one of the few people. How does it feel to be God's favorite? We can only imagine.
Ask me again. Ask me again.
Because so many people, I have met so many people, like even people who are adults who have been working for years. Even right now, somebody's in their 40s and they're still saying that I honestly do not know what career path I should be following. I keep jumping from one job to another, especially this gig economy we are in, where you get to do short-term jobs constantly because there's no security in jobs. It's very you're so lucky and blessed. Let me just put it that way, because that is rare.
Yes.
That is great.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's not easy to know what you want to do with yourself and with your life, but the advantage and the beauty is that you can always reinvent. At any point, you can always reinvent.
Yeah, I agree. I keep telling people that you can live multiple lives in one lifetime, and it is totally okay, because it's your life. You can do as much as you want or as little as you want, and you find one thing that you actually like and want to stick with it, then yeah, why not? Go for it. So yeah, I think that is quite impressive. How was your experience in campus and doing your courses in counseling? I keep saying that it feels like one long therapy session where we keep learning about ourselves as mental health professionals. What was your experience in psychology school?
So my experience was very intriguing. We had one very particular therapist, a lecturer, who was very well knowledgeable in counseling. She was actually a practicing counselor at the time. So when she would teach us, she would give examples that made sense compared to like all the rest. I'm not hating on anybody, but yes, compared to all of my other lecturers. And she's one of the people that I think affirmed for me that this was an appropriate course for me to do, because I could envision what seeing a client would actually look like. Then I had a caveat where I wanted to learn about business, because I'm quite the entrepreneur. So I literally went to School of Business and took a course in macroeconomics. I failed terribly. And I was like, okay, fine, let me just stick to psychology. But I loved it. I remember our very first experience in essential practice was picking somebody to be your client, to be your dummy client. And I really enjoyed that session. For us, we had to video record ourselves in the session. Yeah, so that then you could watch. We actually presented the recordings on CD to our lecturer. So I remember going back and just, reviewing and saying, I think I could have done better here. I could have done better there. So I loved it. I loved my psychology school experience.
Yeah, that is great. Oh my gosh. How did you ever feel anxious about it? Because me being the person I am, I can't imagine seeing myself that, like, being that vulnerable. Because in the client room, when you're in the therapy session, it's usually very private. It's just you and your clients. And I think having to sit back and watch yourself doing it, and maybe in the presence of people, how did that feel? Because I'm already feeling a second-hand anxiety right here.
Yes, it was very anxious. It was very anxious-inducing.
Yeah.
It was very anxiety-inducing, but it was supposed to be a learning experience. So, of course, what I did before I did the recording and went for the actual session is I practiced with my friend. I was like, Abu, come to my room. I need you to be a client, and I'm going to be your counselor, so that I could prepare. So you can imagine the degree of anxiety I had been feeling at the time. Yeah, and also because there's judgment, or at least I want to say correction, because somebody is going to evaluate what you are doing. And it was anxiety-inducing, but it was also a learning. It was a learning point. Even just watching other people's videos and hearing their feedback and asking them, what do you think you could have done differently if it was me who was with this client? What would I have done differently? So it helped. It helped with the learning.
Yeah. I can. I know it's double-edged sword in the sense that you get to learn a lot, but you also get to put yourself out there in a way that is very raw. Like it's like you're putting your heart outside and you're just letting people poke holes in it. And wow, yeah, that is it's quite the experience. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that in my experience. For us, we just had to you sat and did the triangle thing where there's you and one of your colleagues is a client and the other person is an observer. So at least that one felt a bit, yeah. But wow, that must have been the experience for you. It's quite impressive. What did you learn about being a good therapist from that experience? What did that experience teach you about being a good therapist?
I think it taught me you have to learn, you have to be willing to learn continually. You have to be willing to learn, because even when you assume that you've done your best, if somebody else was put in the therapy chair to observe what you are doing, there are still things that you would learn. So I think that's the lesson that I took. You have to have a very open mind to keep learning and listening. Hey, there was a lot of training around listening. You have to listen a lot. Yeah. So those are the lessons that I was thinking at the time.
Yeah. And looking back, do you think that is something that you would want to do again, or once done and you're out?
No, I wouldn't want to do it again, but not because of the experience itself, but because I've already learned so much. I wouldn't need to do it again because I've already learned the lessons that I needed to have learned. But I definitely think it's helpful for students when they're learning how to practice. I think it's helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing with our profession is that you never really stop learning, because even after you graduate, you're still expected to go and learn new things. There's always it's like our profession keeps inventing new things every single day that you can learn and better yourself. And I think because we're working with human beings, and human beings are very dynamic, you can't really stagnate and say I have learned everything and now I am good to practice forever. Yeah, you constantly have to just keep going back, looking at the books and seeing where are people, comparing yourself sometimes to people who are ahead of you, who have been doing this job for a while, professionals in other countries, and just seeing what people are learning. I think that's an important thing that students everywhere should keep in mind when it comes to being a therapist. We never stop learning. We never stop learning. Yeah. Please carry on.
Oh yeah, I was saying it's true. You never stop learning, even when you think you've finished learning.
Yeah. Now that you've been doing this for 9 years, what clients do you work with? Who are your people? Where do you gravitate towards?
So most of my clients are 25 to 45-year-olds. I have a couple of outliers, but they're not many. Majority are 25 to 45-year-olds who are often working either just entry level or have been working for some time. And some of the concerns that they present with are concerns around childhood trauma. That has been such a recurring theme with so many of my clients. Childhood trauma, different other traumatic experiences, disorders like depression. There are people who just want to grow personal development, or they just want to understand themselves better because of the way that they're seeing themselves showing up in their relationships. So those are some of the clients I see. They're Africans. I have, actually all of my clients are Africans except for one. I have clients here in Kenya, Uganda, Canada, India, and the US. So there's that picture. The unique thing is that they're all Africans, except for that one client.
Okay. That's fantastic. So if you're listening and you're looking for a therapist who handles depression, childhood trauma, and things around all that, and you're over 25, this is the therapist you should be talking to. So reach out. What have these many clients between 25 and 45 years old taught you about therapy, being a therapist, being a client? What have you learned from them that you feel that if it was not for them, you would not know? Because clients are
okay. I think one of the things I've learned is that I have to be open to learning, because there are times when clients come and the kind of concerns they present with have to take me back to doing a lot more research, especially because of how subjective therapy is. So you might find what has been effective with one client is not effective with somebody else. That's one. The second that I've learned from my clients has been flexibility. They've taught me a lot of flexibility, especially around creating treatment plans, because there are clients who are willing to do the work, but they can't be able to, for example, afford therapy for the next year. Or there are clients who feel like they have things figured out, so they just need like a check-in space. So it's taught me a lot of flexibility to be able to accommodate the needs of the clients.
I think that's an important aspect of it all. There's the desire, because we have like these standardized things that most that are used across therapy. There's always the temptation to stick with that and assume that because they are fit the DSM diagnosis, they have this problem and you're going to treat it like this because we have this treatment plan that has already been created. I just need to take it and apply it. It's very easy to get
that. It doesn't work.
You can get tempted because it's so easy and it feels so easy to apply those things, and then you get to the client and you find out vitu kwa ground is now very different. Speaking of vitu kwa ground, I'm very curious about there are things that they don't tell us in school when you study to become counselors, and then you reach kwa ground and then you find, oh my gosh, what was that for you? Tell me something that was a vitu kwa ground moment for you.
Oh, the money. Nobody told me about the money.
No, they never talk about money. No, they don't talk
Everybody, every lecturer gives you the hope about whatever course it is that you took, that you pursued when you were in school, and the job market and how there's an opportunity in the market for you. But nobody talks about how you should price. Nobody talks about how you should market to be able to get clients. Nobody talked to me about how to navigate not having or earning from therapists, or not even having clients in the first place. I think that was just baptism by fire. I remember my first year when I opened my office, I had a whole year when I did not have clients. I had like the whole year, my revenue was 4,650 the whole year. And I was paying rent. I was paying rent. I was paying for electricity. I was printing. My God. So those lessons, nobody tells you about them. And I remember asking myself, if I did not have the kind of advantage that I had, because I had a very supportive partner, I would not even have been able to pursue the career in the first place. And I think it's also one of the issues that's a big problem now, not even just for psychologists, but even other professions. There's very little support or mentorship, especially in starting out. So you just dive, make your mistakes, and learn by yourself.
Yeah, that's very true. The money, they never talk about the money. They never teach you how to even start the therapy. Like, how do you go out there and start a private practice? You're gonna go into private practice. They never talk about those things. And I think it's something that I was actually talking about just the other day in one of my YouTube videos, and I was saying the reason my entire YouTube channel exists is to make sure that no therapist has to be baptized by fire when it comes to starting a private practice, because we just have to pass this information, because they won't teach you in school, and so we open our own school on YouTube and make sure people can get this in. It's very sad. It's very sad. It's very sad, and I think it also glamorizes how your work is going to be outside. And then you get to outside and it's not as glamorous. They don't tell you about vicarious trauma. They touch on it, but they don't tell you how serious it is when it hits you. And when you wake up and your entire perspective in life has been changed because of the trauma you've sat through. They don't talk to you. There's a lot. There's really a lot. But interesting and very true. And I'm glad you're saying it, because somebody needs to say it. And thank you for saying that. Therapists who are listening, please. The money issue, keep that in mind. It's not that easy. It's not a joke.
It's not that easy. Whoa, it's not.
And the funny funny thing is, there's also the aspect where people people think that when you see clients and you make, let's say you charge client 1,000 shillings, they assume that 1,000 shillings, all of it is going to go into your account and you're going to be rich because hey, you're making 1,000 shillings an hour. Hey, you're doing well for just sitting. And then don't remember that 1,000 shillings is supposed to pay for rent and electricity. Token Ikisha, you're there, you're supposed to pay for that. And if you have any marketing expenditure, it's coming from that 1,000. It's very tricky.
Yes,
Very, very.
there's a lot of assumptions, especially around income for. It's not only therapists, even in other professions. People have a lot of assumptions about money, and especially when they see what your rate card is, when they see how much you charge per session, they imagine that you see the same kind of clients every single day and they pay you the same exact amount of money for the whole month. So when you say you charge 1,000, somebody just calculates 8 to 5, that's 8 hours, that's 8,000 in a day, times, let's even say 20, that's 160,000. This person is
you're so rich, you're doing well.
Yes. So people don't talk about the reality is that you don't necessarily have the 1,000, the client that is paying you 1,000 every single hour of your day or your month. Like for me, in our organization, we have differently priced packages. So as low as 500 shillings, we have a package price at 500. So, and a package price at 5,000. So when I tell somebody that this is the range, they go with the 5K, and that's the calculation they're making in their head. So it's the same exact thing. And I think there needs to be a lot of empathy and empathy actually for one another when it comes to entering into the market and growth in the industry.
Yeah. I think that's very important. Thank you so much for speaking on that. That is very, very important. And actually speaking on charges and business and being in private practice and all these things, you tell us a little bit about, or a lot bit about Hopewell. Brag about your baby. This is the opportunity. Tell us about it.
Well, now that you want to open this door. So Hopewell is we provide mental health services, and we have packages for Kenya specifically that are priced from 500 to 2,000. If you are located in Kenya and are you're a Kenyan national. So of course the pricing packages vary because of affordability. We are just trying to make therapy services accessible to people who may not be having a very stable income, but they need the support. So we provide individual therapy sessions, we provide mentorship and life skills training for high schools, and we provide corporate wellness. Presently, our biggest source of impact has been in our individual therapy sessions, because we've been able to support hundreds of clients over the 5 years that the company has been in existence. We are currently now expanding into the corporate wellness space quite aggressively, because we are trying to see how we can have a bigger impact, especially for somebody who spends from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the workplace. They need the skills to be able to be not just productive, but to take care of their mental health when they're working so much. So we are aggressively expanding into that industry. We have a team. We are a team of 10 presently. 4 of them being psychologists, and then 6 of them having different roles: business development, digital management, finance. And then what we are doing uniquely now is we are developing a product called SEMA. It's a web app that digitizes and makes therapy services accessible. That's essentially what we are trying to do, technology for now, to make therapy accessible and of course to leverage the business. So that's the company. The company also has a CSR that provides free therapy services to Africans. This year, by the end of last year, we had supported 150 young people and given them free therapy sessions. We've had mental health awareness events in 6 counties, and now presently we are trying to create awareness through storytelling. So that's the business and the foundation. Our foundation has actually 93 volunteers, which I thought would be an incredible thing for you to know. because that's a network that you could also tap into for infinity wellness consultants for this specific show.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is, wow, that you are doing a lot and it's all impressive. Wow, I'm so proud of you. This is epic. I have so many questions. Let me just start with the basics. How does it, how did you become the entrepreneur you are? And it's very different from, you remember when you said the first year, the 4,000, and I'm assuming you were just alone at that time because you're just starting out. How did you end up hiring, becoming an entire CEO, and all those things? Please walk us through that journey of all that. That's like a lot and so impressive.
That's a lot. Well, of course, it started with me doing everything, literally everything, from 2017 to 2019. So in 2019, what I did differently was I talked to a friend and asked, they had just recently graduated, and asked them to be an accountant for me, because the money was just a problem. I'm a business person, so the money has to make sense. So that was the first person that joined the team, and they actually joined the team on a volunteer basis, because I told them, listen, I am not making money. This is how much I made in a whole year. So I don't have money to pay you. But what is the advantage is you will at least get something to do, and you can add it on your CV, because he had just recently graduated. So 2017, I had an office. 2018, I closed it because now I couldn't afford the overhead expenses. So I started working from home, and working from home meant I have to lease a space for sessions, so that the therapists who you pay for the use of their space. So at least the space for my sessions, and then I became a very aggressive marketer. These social media streets know my names because I had to do a lot of aggressive marketing in 2019 so that I could be able to build a client base in 2020. So when I say aggressive marketing, I mean social media. I don't mean there was any money anywhere to spend on any paid advertising, none of that. So in 2019, there was a lot of growth in terms of looking for clients. So I was really out looking for clients, talking to people, doing content to talk about my work. Then in 2020, when COVID was hitting, what saved us is that we adapted so fast, you can't believe it. We moved like, so now everybody's working from home. That's fine. This is our forte. We've been working from home for the whole of last year. So for us, it was very easy to adapt. And now, because people see your content and they know that you provide therapy services and you do it online. So when COVID hit, it was just like a complete transformation for our business, because now we got a lot of clients because everybody was at home. Then one of the most unique things we did in that COVID year is that we slashed the pricing for all our sessions to 500 bob per session. So now we had proper client flow. So we were able to talk to the second person we onboarded was a business developer, so that she could help us now, how do we grow this business? Actually, she started as a digital marketer. So she did digital marketing for our social media, because now I didn't have the time anymore to now be able to be creating the content for my platform and for the Hopewell platform. So she did a good job with digital marketing. Then she says, I need to grow. And we're like, okay, fine. What do you want to do? Business development. Good. Take over, because there's been a lot of that. Our company has had a lot of, I want to grow in this area. So that's what we nurture. So we created a business development role for her. And so her role became, now you have to go and find out, train yourself on business development first of all. Number two, then come and apply the skills you're learning into the business so that we can be able to see the results. So that's how we got into hiring. Having a finance person helped us a lot with finance management, because when you're a business owner and you own a private practice, all the money is coming to you, so you're the one that determines the expenditure. So having a finance lead made it possible for everybody on the team to now have an income. So it's not that everyone Serah is receiving all the money into her personal account and then determining what is happening. So that helped a lot, because now we could be able to reinvest money back into the business to do what it needs to do to be able to grow. So that's been the journey. There's been lots of crazy lessons and beautiful milestones. We've received funding from investors. Yes, we've been acknowledged. We were featured as a success story business by Grow with Google. So if we open the Pandora box, yes, the company has grown. It's been a lot of sweat and a lot of lessons and a lot of flexibility. Yes.
That is so impressive. That is so impressive. Wow, congratulations. That is so impressive, because I think it's also important for us, even as we talk about being in private practice, to also remember that there's always a success story, and it takes time, but it always happens because you are applying yourself on a daily. How are you managing, and how do you even up to date manage your role as a therapist and your role as a, and I will call you team leader or CEO, or like the business person and a therapist? There's somebody who is out there who is playing these two roles and they don't know when to wear which hat. So how do you navigate that those two roles?
It just depends on the spaces I'm in. Like, for example, in this space, I would want to talk about my role as a therapist, but here we are talking about Hopewell, the business, and my role as an entrepreneur. So it's actually fully been informed by the environment that I am in. And to surprise you, by the way, Jennifer, is that now is when I'm learning and becoming more, my mind is opening up around being an entrepreneur, a business owner, than previously I was operating more as a psychologist than as a business owner. But now, because of the kind of spaces that I'm getting into, I'm now thinking like a business person and an investor. So that's what has been helping, the environment that I'm getting myself in. And what helps me keep a balance is with our counselors, we have CPD sessions every week. So I normally present in the CPD session. So that helps me to keep myself grounded and informed about my professional work.
Yeah. I think that is quite important. Wow, congratulations. I can't say this enough. You are so impressive. It is heartwarming and it is mind-blowing, and I am in awe, and I have a professional crush on you because you're doing such good work. It's unbelievable. So good. So good. It just makes me so happy, because this gives hope to people, mental health professionals who are out there and they're thinking, what can I do? Am I tied to just being the person who sits with clients only and I will never do any other thing? No, like there are things you can do and it is okay. It is totally okay. Somebody is saying that you need to explain what CPD means.
Or continuous professional development.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mental Health by Anastasia says she is very impressive in all ways. So we are giving you your flowers when you're here. We are very happy to have you here. That is fantastic. Wow, that is awesome. I am so impressed. Very happy to hear all the stories. So I want to shift gears into something different. And before I do that, let me just acknowledge the people who are in the live so that they know that we can see them and we hear them. Shuja Fitness, hi, and thank you for coming through. Fred Sylvesters, hello. Hilda and Kili Kibet and Tunundiani, hi Tunundiani. Hilda Kisonok, to go prize, Eldoret Leo and Joe Kamau, Counseling Wellness Consulting, Tunu Trivia, Loud Like Psych, and Mental Health by Anastasia. Thank you so much for coming through. I am so happy that you are spending this evening with us. This is so perfect. So, switching gears, let's get a bit personal, because it wouldn't be no the therapist without the personal side. So I would be very honored if you would invite us into your life and tell us what your experience has been with challenges with mental health issues. There's a myth out there that mental health professionals, because they know how to treat mental health issues, should not struggle. They can treat themselves. Let's debunk that myth by you telling us what your experience has been with mental health and mental health challenges.
Okay, so that's definitely a myth. It's complete myth formation that therapists don't have mental health concerns, because they're human beings. And I think because of the nature of our work, we are often dehumanized. We are assumed to not be people who have day-to-day experiences and that impact our lives. So I have had I've had, what do we call it? A beautiful journey when it comes to my mental health. And it started in 2021, shockingly, yes. So in 2021, I had my last born, who is a daughter, who's a girl. And when I delivered her, I actually had postpartum blues, and I did not even know that I had postpartum blues. So I remember being so emotional, even at the hospital. I was like, my husband would come and see me, and I'd just be in tears. He'd be leaving, and I'd just be moody and mad and upset. As a complete emotional roller coaster. And my doctor, my OBGYN, who's actually a good friend of mine, was very concerned, but he never mentioned anything to me. And we got discharged. A couple of days later, we got discharged and went home. But I was still not okay at all. I wasn't okay mentally. I feel like I had this disconnect in my head that I didn't know was there. Until one day I was I was shouting at my husband to check on my CS wound, kama imepona, in the sitting room when everybody's in the house. So he went back. He went back to the OBGYN and told him, hey, my wife, I don't think she's doing great. So the OBGYN told him, let's observe her. I was supposed to go back for my first review after 2 weeks. So if after the 2 weeks I'm not doing well, I'm going to be admitted. So when I went back after the 2 weeks, I was actually okay. I cannot tell you up to this day what happened between the delivery and the going for the review the 2 weeks later, but I was okay. And that's when now my OBGYN was telling me, Sarah, you know you had postpartum blues. I was like, what do you mean I had postpartum blues? And that's when it now hit me that you can actually have a mental health concern or disorder and you will not know, even though you are a professional. Yeah. So fast forward to 2022, last year, January, is when I actually started therapy sessions for myself. And that whole year, I feel like I got like reborn. And I'm always wondering, how the hell is it that I was never in therapy much earlier than now? How is it that?
It's usually like that. You go there and you're like, I should have come here before. I should have been here like years before.
Yes.
Usually like that.
So my year, I've been in therapy consistently, weekly, for the entire of last year. I'm actually still in therapy, and I intend to be for the rest of my life. I'll just maybe keep changing my therapists on occasion, depending on what my needs are and their competencies to help. But I can tell you for sure the degree of maturity, the degree of self-awareness that I have, I now know what it's like to have healthy relationships and healthy friendships. Back then, I was just a complete mess. Back then, I was a complete mess.
Trust me, we've all been there. You're in good company.
Yes.
We've all been there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's been my personal journey with therapy. It's helped me to mature and understand myself in a very short time, but so extensively that I'm so regulated right now. I remember in our last session, we were doing the attachment style quiz with my therapist, and we were supposed to be handling insecure attachment style. So I tell her, when I did my results, my attachment quiz, my results were that I have a secure attachment style. This insecurity is your business. But then we got to, okay, in my defense, the reason that I had now a secure attachment style was because of being in therapy. Had I taken that same quiz earlier in the year before I started sessions, my scoring would have been for an insecure attachment style. So for me, therapy has been completely life-changing.
Yeah. What was the how easy or how difficult was it to find a therapist? Because most people keep saying, where are these therapists? I don't know. Wako wapi wa therapist? Tunasikia nga wako wapi. What was your experience of looking for and finding a therapist? and maybe even your first therapist. If are you seeing the same therapist you started with, or did you get to switch therapists at some point?
No.
What was that like?
I'm still seeing the same one.
Yeah.
I think for me the advantage was that I've been in this industry for long, so I have a lot of contacts in the mental health space. So it wasn't hard to find a therapist for me because I'm in the industry. Yeah, so that wasn't hard. What I was looking for was affordability, therapists that I could afford long term. Yeah. So, but for me, I in my own network, I have 93 counselors. So
I cannot wait
it
to
wouldn't
interview
have
all
been
of
hard.
them here. I cannot wait to interview them. That is 93 episodes. I am covered for the year of 2023. 2023. I'm covered in 2023 and 2024 halfway. If we start tomorrow, I am covered. I'm just waiting.
You're done. You have guests for the entire year. Yeah. So for me, it wasn't hard to find a therapist because I've been in the industry for long, and I've also tried to build a personal brand. So it's easy to filter quickly. Yeah.
What did it feel like to be on that other side of the couch? We rarely get that opportunity. How did it feel? How does it feel, even on a daily basis?
It was very hard, because I'm also a therapist, and I imagine if I was the client all the time, so I have to, especially my first sessions. My God, it was terrible. But now I'm learning to switch off that voice, the one that keeps saying, you could, if it was you, you'd have done this or you'd have done that. Then the other thing that I've come to take ownership of is that it's my mental health. So because of the kind of knowledge that I have about mental health in general, I can add value to my sessions. So even my attachment style quiz, I'm the one who did it on my own. My therapist didn't recommend it, but now I could be able to share the results with her because it's what improves my well-being.
Yeah. They say that therapists make the worst clients because we are usually they are trying to see, this therapist of mine is doing something I would not have done. They should have done this and the other. They should have asked me this question, and they should have used this theory. Why are they going this other direction? We make the worst clients.
That's very. You have to be humble.
Because but that teaches you a lot of humility. I keep saying, it's something that I even wrote in the book. I was saying that when you go to therapy as a client, if you're a therapist and you go to therapy, first of all, it's my firm belief that every mental health professional should be in therapy at some point. You can't just be handling people if you've never been. And it's not just because that you have baggage, that is a given, but also because it teaches you what it means to be humble, what it means to be on the receiving end. It teaches you, it's a learning lesson, it's a learning opportunity for even what to do or what not to do with your clients, because you see what your therapist does, and there are things you can borrow from them. Remember, they are professionals just like you. So I think it's usually a very happy experience when you go to therapy. Going to therapy, highly recommend, 5 stars rating. Do it if you can. Loud like he is asking, is psychotherapy supposed to last that long? And not supposed. I don't think these are supposed, but my opinion would be that therapy takes as long as it takes, and you go as long as you need to go. And I have had people who are in therapy. I'm sorry about the noise if you can hear it. I think my neighbors have decided today's the day. There's some people I have had who have been in therapy for 5, 7, 10 years, 15 years. There's someone I know who has been in therapy for 30 years. But then when you go, your therapist does not become your crutch. They don't become like somebody you're attached to and tap into at now they're there to give you advice on every single thing. It's usually just for taking care of your and you don't, it doesn't mean that you at now, because you've been in therapy for 30 years, you usually go every week for 30. That would be, I think that would be overkill. But maybe it's that going for, maybe you go once a month, or you check in every 6 months. It is okay for you to have that continuous relationship with your therapist, even after you finished your official sessions, maybe your 13, 15 sessions the first time. It's okay for you to have that ongoing relationship. And you can always just go back when you have a challenge that seems beyond you and you don't feel equipped to handle it. It's okay to call your old therapist and be like, hey, can I come in for a check-in session just to make sure that I am doing some stuff that I am going through, like it can be a check-in session. So there's no supposed, it takes as long as it does. The same way there's no ati, you have to go for 10 sessions, lazima uende 10. There's no supposed. If you go for 2 sessions and you've dealt with the things that you needed to deal with, kudos, well and good. I don't know, Serah, if you have something to add on top of that.
I've just added, it depends on your personal goals, what you want from the process. So for me, what I want from therapy is something that is long term, because I want a space that's a sounding board for my well-being. And so there are clients with whom they can come to sessions presenting with certain concerns. You address them, then they feel that they want to address other concerns. Or even you as a therapist, from your assessment, you are able to pick that we've addressed issue X, which was the trigger for this client to come to therapy, but there are X, Y, Z other issues that need to be addressed as well. So you make a recommendation to the client. So it can take longer, much longer than the traditional, it should be like 6 sessions or 10 sessions or 6 months or whatever traditional duration you might be going with.
Yeah, very true, very true. Thank you for bringing that perspective in. Very important. And I hope, Loud Like Psych, you have been adequately answered. That is my firm hope and belief. I wanted to ask you something about, you've mentioned your experience with postpartum blues, and what would you tell somebody who's listening right now? Maybe they are going through the same thing, or they have gone through the same thing. What would you tell them about that experience and what it takes to get back to a good place mentally?
I'd say you need to really listen to the people that are around you, that care about you, that genuinely care about you, because even for other mental health disorders like depression, you may not there are many all mental health disorders. It's not recommended that you're self-diagnosing. You may not even have the presence of mind to know what's actually happening and the magnitude of its impact in your life and in the lives of other people. So I'd say if there are people in your life that are raising concern, listen. Go see a professional and just say, I'm here because they said I should come. I don't think there's anything wrong with me, but this is what is happening.
Yeah.
So that would be the first thing I'd say. The second thing I'd say that helped a lot is ask for help. Because mental health is an individual responsibility first, then there's a collective responsibility. So when you're struggling, especially when you're having postpartum blues or postpartum depression, you need help even with the baby, because sometimes you want to kill that child. So you need somebody who's going to be able to say, no, just wait, these are hormones. It's okay for this baby to be alive. So you need to be able to ask for help and be willing to receive it when it's offered.
Yeah, there's that, the receiving when it is offered. We struggle with that. Yes. Yeah, that is a good one. Not like you say that you get it, but there's a risk of dependency. I understand what you mean. Yeah, there's a risk of dependency, but then again, remember, your therapist is not a passive recipient of you coming to therapy. They are also active participants, and your therapist can tell when the relationship is starting to get dependent, and a good therapist will be able to walk with you through the journey of making sure that you don't get dependent, and even if you do, how to make sure that you don't continue being dependent. Like your therapist is not just there waiting for you to come because it's fun for you to show up. They want you to get well so that you can be dependent. But going back when you need help once in a while does not mean that you've become dependent. Because remember, you're getting equipped with skills. And some of these challenges that we face with mental health, they have taken years to be the challenges they are. They will take time to restore you to a better place. So going for your typical 15 sessions might not help you correct all the things that are going on in your life that have gotten you to the place you're in right now. So sometimes that's why people want to go back for those check-in sessions, just to confirm that they are where they want to go. And again, with the goals thing, if you feel that your goals have not yet been met, it is okay for you to go back. So it will. I don't see a point where it will create dependency, because your therapist is not there to give you answers to your questions. They are there to work with you as you discover those answers for yourself. So it would only be dependent when you're always going to your therapist to get approval for your behavior. and decision making. You want them to a stamp of approval for the decisions you make. You want them to be active participants in dictating what you do with your life. That is when it will become dependent. And a good therapist is trained to make sure that that does not happen, because your therapist is there to equip you with skills and to help pave the way, which you already know. You already know where you're going. So your therapist is just like a guide. Yeah, that's how I would look at it.
Let me add something there, that on top of the risk is there, especially when you have a therapist who's not a good therapist, so to speak, because there is somebody who may encourage dependency in you as a client because of the financial income or implication. However, the risk is there, yes, but like I said, mental health is an individual responsibility first. So if you realize that you're starting to not be able to make decisions unless there some input from your therapist, then you need to first, check you. Then if your therapist is noticing it, they need to call it out for you. And lastly, because of how much the impact of the therapeutic relationship on the client, because the client has shared a lot of information about themselves, to say, okay, fine, let me just go and start over with another therapist now that I want to address another issue. So there's so much context that a therapist you have seen for some time has that actually makes them a better fit for you, compared to you finish with this one on addressing issue X and then move to another one to address issue Y.
Yeah, 100%. That's a very good point, and thank you for raising it. I hope Lord like Psych, you answered again. I hope in case something comes up, just put it in the comment section. Feel free to send questions that you have. We'll respond to them as we continue with this live. So awesome. So thank you, Serah, for all the information that you've shared so far. And I really appreciate that you've welcomed us into your life like that. We don't take it for granted. And these conversations need to be this honest, so that people know that there's no shame when it comes to mental health. There's no shame. It's a struggle like any other. And struggling does not mean weakness. It just means that you're struggling and it's okay, and you're human, and you will get through it with the help of your therapist, or even with the therapeutic aids that you can access. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience. Really appreciate it. You are a mom, you're a wife, you are a CEO, you are so impressive. You are a therapist, you are so many things. How do you maintain yourself, your mental health, self-care on a day-to-day basis? How do you make sure that you stay at 100% on a day-to-day basis, even minus not the therapy? What are your go-to things that keep you centered and grounded and in the path doing the work?
Okay, so for me, it's two things. It's journaling and swimming, and I have to say that I don't do them every day. I can't even do them every day, even if I had a pool in my home.
It's the honesty for me.
Yes. So yes, those are the two that keep me grounded. Water really grounds me, and I journal, especially when I'm getting overwhelmed. And I normally can tell I've grown to become very self-aware thanks to therapy. So yeah. I know when I'm starting to get overwhelmed. So what I normally do is I journal, and I can journal for like an hour and a half. By the time I'm done, I'm almost like have done a quarter of my journal. I normally use exercise books. I've already like filled a quarter.
I think that is good. I think that is a sustainable option. Exercise books. They never let you down. Yeah. Wow.
Exactly. And they're so affordable. You can just go buy one at the shop at like 50 dollars. Yeah. So those are the two that keep me grounded. Water grounds me a lot, and journaling. It gives me a lot of clarity when I write. So I do I try to do it frequently. I'll not say I'm there every day. No, I can't do it every day. But something I've actually started to do every day is to walk. I love walking. So now I'm incorporating the way we tell our clients you need to be able to do something in your day or in your week to help you relax. I'm incorporating walking for about 30 to 40 minutes to my workplace. So I'm getting to work and I'm walking to work. So it's been helping.
Okay. What are
Yeah.
some tips you have for journaling? Somebody who is looking into getting into journaling, or they're already journaling and it's become monotonous for them. Some tips you would share about journaling that they can check out, try to incorporate in their journaling practice?
It doesn't need to be conventional. You don't need to write in prose, or you don't need to categorize the financial and physical, and it doesn't need to be in prose. You can draw in your journal. You can write poetry. You can write one words. You can write verbs. It doesn't need to be the traditional writing down. You also have other options. You can audio journal. You can video record yourself as a journal entry. Even then, it doesn't need to be talking. You can sing, you can hum. So I think what I would be saying as a tip for journaling is that it's not a chore. You can do it however you want to do it, and it's not a chore. It's not a box to tick. It's a tool. So if it's not functioning as a tool, you need to stop and reevaluate why you are doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the options. I like the variety of options that people can do, because it helps people break out of that box that there's this one way of doing things, and if I don't do this one way of doing things, it's not valid. There's that we want it to seem like it's valid and it fits the convention. You don't have to do things the conventional way. It's okay for you to break the mold and just go and do your thing. It is your journal, by the way. It's yours.
Yes.
You can do it.
There's no audience.
Yeah, nobody's going to beat you. Whatever you do, it's your journal. Nobody's going to beat you. So please exercise your freedom. Use your freedom to the fullest. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. I have a question for that a beginner mental health professional might be asking, especially when it comes to starting an organization, a business in therapy. As someone who has been in business since when you have been in business, which was 2015, right? 2017. Since 2017, what advice would you give somebody who is about to jump into the ocean of business, starting a business, growing a business, running a business, being an entrepreneur on top of being a therapist? What pieces of advice would you throw their way that would make them make better decisions and also succeed during that time? Because you also want to reduce the number of failure stories. We want more success stories. We don't want people giving up. Yes. What is your advice? Yeah.
So for somebody who's considering starting out in the space, please record keep. Money. When it comes to money, write every expense. It had better go to the account, even if it's 10 bob, even if it's 50 bob, even if it's 500 shillings, let it go into the account, then withdraw and do whatever you want, because it's going to teach you accountability, which is an important skill that you need, especially when you are a business owner, and especially if you want to grow the business. If you're not accountable, you will be spending, you will be eating all the money, and so you'll never be able to grow. Then number 2 is you need to have a very open mind towards learning and learning quickly, because you'll find if you're knocking, let me give you an example. If you're going to a school so that they can allow you to do mentorship for their students, and you've been to this school 3 times and nothing is forthcoming, stop, because you're not learning. You need to go back and ask yourself, why? What am I doing wrong? What could I do differently? What could I do better? Then apply. If you're not doing anything to learn and you're just expecting that the lessons, that things will just somehow unfold, you have to stop, and you need to be very open to learning and very open to collaborating, because you will grow faster with other people. And especially in our industry, if you decide to go the solo route, it's a very long way. So it's easier to collaborate, build relationships. If you need a space for therapy sessions, don't hold your session in a hotel. Go and talk to somebody who has a therapy office and tell them, I charge 1,000 for my sessions. Can I please pay 250?
Yeah.
To use this space for my session. So you need to collaborate a lot and be very, very quick to learn. You need to learn very fast and adapt quickly. If you're rigid in your thinking, there's a lot of opportunities that will pass you by. And the last thing is something that I watched in one of the videos you've shared on permission giving, that you don't need it.
Yes. Yeah. I like that you mentioned the permission giving, because it's exactly what I was saying, that we as therapists, it's like we've been molded into believing that the only thing you can do when you have a psychology degree is sit with clients and give sessions, and that's it, and you can't do anything else. And so actually one of the most many interesting things have happened, but one of the most interesting things that have happened or with this show and all the shows that I do, all the shows that I host, is therapists coming to me and they're like, thank you for making me see that I don't have to do just one thing. Like I can be many things, and nobody's going to punish me, that I will not be banished. I am not doing something wrong for trying to create my own career. It's okay. I like, thank you for giving us that permission. Like, it's like I give people the permission to be like, it's okay for you to follow your dreams. Like, and I'm like, yeah, that's a really important thing, because it can keep therapists in a very small world, in a very small space. And especially what you said about working with other people and collaborating. Our profession is very, how do I put it? Our profession is very secretive to a degree. Before you meet these other mental health professionals, it's like you need to, it's like an exclusive club. That's what one of my guests said last time. It's like an exclusive club. And especially I get students who tell me where are these professionals that I should meet. You only see those events on Twitter after they have happened. That's when you see, oh, there was an event. This is where we went. There was an event with the mental health Ministry of Health, mental health department. You're like, oh, there's a department. When was it created? Like, there's a lot of exclusive things that happen within our field. And one of my goals with this show especially is so that people know where to find these other people to collaborate with. Because even when, like now you've mentioned you're in Eldoret, there could be a therapist who's in Eldoret who has never known that there's a therapist in Eldoret they can collaborate with. And now maybe they watch this and yeah, they'll be like, yeah, I know Serah, I can get in touch with Serah and find a way to connect with her. And if I need anything or she needs something, we can always collaborate. I think that is one of the major things that I'm foreseeing happening with our show, that therapists will stop working in isolation. It's very lonely, especially because once in private practice, it can be very lonely because you're working alone. Yeah, just you and your clients, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. It's important that people collaborate, especially in our industry. That's the only way that we can be able to grow and grow fast. If we continue, everybody is a lone island. Not going anywhere.
Yeah, and it's very
grow, but so slowly.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah. It takes too long. Like you get to do things that you didn't have to do. Like you suffer unnecessary pain that you could have avoided if only you would have reached out.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you're feeling like there's a fear that is holding you back from getting in touch, I hope that through this show you can tell that I love stories, so you can always reach out. Like, come to my DM, come into Infinity Wellness DM. Even if I don't answer, the person managing the account will answer, and just say hi. Even if you don't want to be featured in the show and you just want to ask a question, imagine, just say hi, just come through, talk to us. Yeah, we want to help. I just want you need to reach out. That's the other aspect of getting help. You need to ask for help for it to be offered. So I can't come find you. Serah can't come find you in your DM because she doesn't even know you exist because you're hiding. But if you see this and you need to collaborate with any of us or any of the guests that have been featured on this show, please reach out. Just come to the DM or go to the therapist DM and tell them you saw them here. And they will be grateful. You want to help. Because, there's no point of suffering unnecessarily. Just save yourself the pain. Yeah, quite important. And I think, I think that is an important point that we have raised. Thank you very much for contributing that very necessary conversation. We are coming very close to the end of this live session, which has been fantastic. I must say my time with you has been awesome. And I want to ask you, what you wish more Kenyans and more people in general understood about therapy, understood about psychology, understood about mental health, so that we can break this story for stigma and shame and fear about mental health. What is your message to the populace about mental health and psychology from where you sit?
First of all, it's not expensive anymore. Please just check out our website, hopewellcounseling.co.ke. We have affordable therapy sessions for as low as 500 shillings. Therapy is no longer a reserve of the elite or the whoever you imagine. Watu wanaongea za mental health, those people are, this kind of category of people. It's no longer expensive. Number two, therapy is work. You have to go into it being willing to put in the work. For example, if you're a 25-year-old, you have learned certain behavior patterns and practiced them for 25 years. So when you go into therapy, you need to know that it's gonna take a lot of effort and work to unlearn that. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And the last thing I want people to know is that everybody normally has mental health because they have a functioning brain. As long as they have a functioning brain, then mental health is part of physical health. And the man who rides a bicycle to the shamba to dig can think about killing himself the same way that the man on a helicopter is landing at his helipad can think about killing himself. So it has nothing to do with socioeconomic status. Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, very important information there. It's, guys, I keep sharing. There's a free thing I usually share on every description of the video. Free mental health services. Ziko hapo. Please, let's be serious. Tusikae na shida. Do not sit in silence. Suffer alone when these things are available. Kwanza, if you're in Nairobi, it's even easier. NMS has done this thing with mental health services. They are free in almost every hospital you go to, if it's a public hospital. Just get up and go. Just do me too. Please, I am asking you nicely. Thank you for sharing that PSA with the populace. I hope it afikia somebody who needs to hear it and they will take action on it. Do you have any mental health resources that have been useful for you in your life and you would like to share with the people who are listening? They can be mental health resources. They can be resources for therapists who are about to get into this field, students or whoever, something that could help somebody on their journey. Is there something like that you would like to share?
So I have two categories. The first is a category for organizations. The other one is a category for individuals. So the two organizations I'd want to plug in. The first is Nzumari Africa. Nzumari Africa is actually based in Nairobi and they provide mental health services for as low as 500. They also provide free therapy sessions, group support. They are a resource. So Nzumari Africa. Number two is PDO Psychiatric Disability Organization. They're based in Nakuru. They also have what are they called? Group support, group therapy sessions for people with mental health concerns and illnesses. They have a facility where you can be able to visit. It's called Nawiri, where you can go and be able to receive professional mental health services. So those are the two organizations I wanted to plug. The two individuals I also wanted to plug. One was on this call, Mental Health by Anastasia. She's doing a good job as a therapist. Yeah. She's actually somebody I would recommend inviting to the show. And the other person I'd recommend is Joan Waweru. Actually, they have an organization called Tattoo. There are actually three of them. So there's Joan Waweru, Mental Health by Anastasia. There's a third psychologist. So they're the ones I'd also want to plug because they also provide therapy sessions. More importantly is that I think for Anastasia, she has an offer for after work hours. So you can be able to have sessions, even if it's not the conventional 8 to 5.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. That's great. Thank you for recommending for recommending Anastasia as a potential guest to be featured on the show. Anastasia, if you're listening, watch out in your DMs. I will be attacking you by midnight. So I'll be there. Please. answer my DM when you see it, because I would highly want to invite you, because why not? You'd be awesome, and you're being recommended. So I believe it's because your work speaks for itself. Thank you for recommending the other resources. I will definitely be adding them into the description box. And if you listen to this, you can contact them. I'm going to link their contact details in there, and that will be awesome. I think this is also the wonderful opportunity that you get for you to tell people where to find you when they're looking for you. Somebody's listening, they're like, oh my gosh, she's the best. I want to work with Serah. How do they find you? For corporate, for individual, for anything, how do they find you? Where's the
Okay,
best
so
place?
on social media, definitely, Muindi Serah. Please Google me. Please Google me. You'll see my name, top ranking, first page, all of that is Serah. Yes. So on social media, you can definitely find me. It's the easiest way to be able to actually get my attention compared to in person. In person is a little bit harder, but online is definitely faster, and I'm able to respond a bit faster because I'm quite active on social media. Then physically, we have an office there in Eldoret, directly behind Wareng High School. You can only come on appointment, so please don't come to our office and say, I saw the video and I'm here to see Serah, because I'm likely to be in a session.
Yeah.
But when you do check out the platforms for our organization, Hopewell Counseling, same thing, Google them, Google us, you'll find us, leave a review and tell us how amazing we are and what has inspired you about us. That's actually an easier way to be able to find our location, because it will be directed, and you can also make an appointment either for your own therapy sessions or even just for a conversation, a networking conversation. You're more than welcome to do that. So I would be delighted to reach out and answer questions, support. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. Everything that has been said, everything we've mentioned is going to be linked in the description box of this video. You can always access it there, and exploit these resources. They are available, and you can always, again, Hopewell Counseling is a resource for you. You can get in touch with them so that they can offer you counseling services. As you've had, they start from 500 shillings, and that is money you can save ata so moja per day, and then by the end of the week you're gonna punch, you go for your therapy session. So consider mental health services that are affordable. So yeah, fantastic. Serah, this has been absolutely wonderful. I have had such a wonderful time talking to you. I have learned so much from you. I have learned so much about your work and about you as a person. You are a lamp that has been placed like on a table. You shine and you give light to everybody. So this has been so fantastic. I have thoroughly enjoyed. I am sure everybody who has had the opportunity to listen to this or will listen to this at some point, because it's going to be on YouTube and Facebook, they are going to find this to be a wonderful session. And thank you for honoring our invitation and coming through. And you could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to hang out with me today. I don't take that for granted. So thank you very much. I don't know if you have any final words. Yeah, any final words, any parting shots before we end this live? And yeah, this is your opportunity.
I think my parting shots is that the best time to start is actually now. It's the best time to start for whatever it is you want to do, or for whatever it is that you're looking to pursue, or that has been at the back of your mind. You know, ruminate, you think about it, you forget about it. Think about it, you forget about it. The best time to start is now. Also, that first thing you do is not going to be great. That's the honest truth. But the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. So begin anyway. So that would be my parting shot. Thank you so much for having me on this live. It's been amazing having this conversation. I feel really nice to be talking about myself a bit more and my work. And there's a friend of mine, he's called Joram Muindi, keeps saying that you should be telling your story. So I think this is part of me doing that, living it out. And I'm also encouraging everybody here, live your story and tell your story.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, everybody who has been able to come through. Some of you joined a bit late. Keep Alvin and John Mwangi, thank you for coming through. I appreciate everybody who has hung out with us on this live. It's been fantastic. If you are a mental health professional and you're listening to this and you would like to be featured on the show, please come into our DMs and tell me that you are a mental health professional and you want to be featured. The main requirement is that at least you are already practicing. So you're already practicing as a mental health professional. That's the main thing that we are looking for, and we'll be glad to have you on the show. If you are a beginner therapist, you're out there, and you are wondering where to start with all these things, you can check out Dear Beginner Therapists, the book. It's on the it's on one of the highlights of this Instagram, or you can get in touch with us to buy the book. It's 800 bob for beginner therapists. You can learn a lot about mental health and about yourself and about your clients and about the things they don't tell you about the profession. It is all in the book. What's the other PSA? If you are looking for free resources, they'll be in the description box. If you are a mental health professional and you're looking for mental health content, go to our other YouTube channel, Safe Space Arena, where we talk about beginner therapists and the work that they do and how to do it better. That is where you get the resources. With that said, asanteni sana. I will see you next week with another wonderful guest. And thank you for hanging out with me. Take care of yourselves, take care of your mental health, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. So see you, Serah, and bye-bye, everybody.